Lord, thank you for coming. My name is William Maldonado. I'll be giving you a speech. It's a speech regard. I want to talk to you all. By the end of this, I would. My intention is for you to advocate the position that communication technologies has had a negative effects that far exceeds the pros. Although in many spectrums it is described as making the world we live in smaller, faster, and smarter. Technology in the form of communication has weakened and shortened communications as well as interfered with human relations. In today's society, communication media is almost everywhere. In America, almost 95% of the population own a cell phone, of which 77% are smartphones. 64% of Americans own a laptop, and 66 own at least two digital devices. While the percentages of digital devices in the U.S. has risen, so has the percentage of Americans with developmental disabilities or disorders. Today, we will discuss first the pros in favor of communication devices. Secondly, the amount of time Americans spend on these devices. And thirdly, the impact it has on communication and or developmental skills. My main sources were organizational websites I found online, such as .org or .gov sites. We will be going over the positive, right now we'll be going over the positive impact that communication technologies has on society. In this technology, in this technologically advanced age, communication devices and media such as smartphones, emails, and texting among others have shortened the time it takes to contact others and share information, which means that in education, information can be attained quicker and you can learn faster or learn more, so to say. Right? Means you can get greater resources in a shorter period of time. In the medical field, healthcare providers can communicate faster with their patient and with other colleagues, meaning I could get a referral quicker because now all they have to do is email it to one another and attach it to an email, and there goes, I got a referral from my primary healthcare provider to my special provider or specialist. An emergency service and the military can operate on a larger scale. Now, if something happens, now you have all the emergency providers, such as whether it's the medical, the police, and the National Guard or what have you, or FEMA. They could all get together and communicate through on a larger level. And even from, instead of just a state, it could go nationwide or even worldwide. Where now, today the military has the ability to be here, yet speak to a soldier that's on the battlefield, and they can see what he sees on the battlefield. So that's the technology that we have today. That's the communications we have today. Though these are just a handful of ways that technological devices have improved our way of life, we must face the truth that of the impairments that it has generated as well. So, having said that, bear with me because right now I'm having some technological difficulties. Let us take a moment to consider the amount of time people spend on these devices. It's adults. It's impossible to picture a modern business world without the internet, emails, smartphones, and texting. Quantified Communications.com states that businesses spend 85% of the day communicating. 85% of their workday communicating. All right? Consumers spend 5 hours a day with their hands and heads stuck to either the internet or a smartphone, looking for things to purchase on the internet. For children, texting is the dominant way they communicate. They communicate better to a text than they would in person. Right? Children find it easier to communicate through texting and social media than in person or face-to-face. Most children, 8 to 12, spend an average of 6 hours on their cell phones. That's what we're faced with today. While adults and children spend time communicating through electronic sources, they miss the interpersonal skills needed to develop socially and intellectually. Though technology is becoming more sophisticated, mankind is becoming weaker and lazier. What does that mean for us? Both adults and children are becoming more and more alienated from one another. They become alienated. So now they don't have the ability or the skills needed to carry on a conversation, because they don't know what facial expressions mean or any of those things mean. And that's a serious thing when you think about it. While people spend more time writing emails and texting, they take time from hearing one another or even having a meaningful face-to-face conversation. It's easier for people to communicate through text and emails because they don't have to feel the emotions or have to deal with the emotions that they would have to deal with when they having a over the phone conversation or even a face-to-face conversation. Because even over the phone, you can sometimes feel the emotions behind the person talking to you. But that's why people just rather text and email. And that's why a lot of the emotions in the conversation have been lost. Because we got so used to the electronic way of writing things, and it has no emotion behind it. And even if you write it down with emotions, you really don't feel, you don't feel the benefit of seeing the person's face when they receive those words. Or, when I say something nice and I say it on the text, I don't have the joy of seeing your face when I say something nice about you and the way your face smiles when you receive what I say. That's the type of social interaction that is missing with electronics. Everywhere people are becoming more dependent on technology than on their own abilities to do things. For example, an example, writing a letter or using their own penmanship. I remember back in the day as a soldier, I would write letters to my family, and that would mean taking time to sit down, write a letter, taking time just to express myself in that letter. But now, when you're deployed, you don't have to write a letter. So now it's easier for me to give you a phone call or send an email to you. Hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I can't talk now. Bye, see you later. Or talk to you when I can talk to you. So it's easy to brush somebody off, or it's easy to lose that personal touch, that personal relationship with the person. And usually when you wrote, you really feel it. And somebody took the time to write for me. Rather than they're like, oh, I just got an email. You know what I mean? And no thought really went behind that. And people are becoming more dependent on calculators. When was the last? A lot of people can't learn math today because they got calculators. Before you had to work out your problems. Right. Now you got calculators that do all the thinking for you. Now you have microwaves that cook for you. So you don't. Why is it that people don't know how to cook? Because the microwave does it for you. You got meals ready to eat. All this stuff, all this technology has made us lazy. Has made us less personal. And really, even when you go to write a research paper, you no longer have to go through books and physically go through books and do the research that it does that